Welcome back to the Code Yellow podcast, where we ditch the gender wars and we talk about relationships from the lens of scripture and good old common sense. I am Devin. These are my co-hosts, and we are here to just bring good vibes and good information about relationships. If you like what we bring, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and join us on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Dav, what you got for us?
All right. You know, I love my icebreakers. So what is a value that is important to you, Devin?
100% integrity. I feel like I respect is also a secondary value that's tied directly to integrity. If I feel like I can't trust you, our relationship kind of is just gonna freeze there. It's not gonna grow any deeper than that. Like, if I can't ask you a direct question and get a direct answer of some kind, then
Why is that such an important value for you? Is it how you were raised? Is it people you've encountered?
Yes, all of the above.
Yeah.
So yes, how I was raised, and yes, people I've encountered. I don't think people realize that your witness as a Christian or whatever faith you believe is directly tied to if people can trust you or not. And I run into people that I realize I can't trust you for nothing. And that kind of is one thing that really sticks out to me.
All right, that's good. Annie, what about you? What's a value that's really important to you?
For me, I would say, someone who's just has humanity. And I know that's really broad, but just someone who cares about people, cares about cares about things outside of themselves. I really love, I think that's probably the foundation of all of my friendships. It's people who are able to look outside themselves and care.
Yeah.
Okay. Jasmine, what about you?
Accountability. I think is important, especially as someone who is a recovering perfectionist in the area, especially not wanting to let people down or fear of a negative consequence. But I think it's important when we can accept that we're flawed and, we are going to disappoint someone or let them down or not meet an expectation. And you can be a good person that disappointed someone. You can be a good person that made a mistake. You can be, and so that it's okay to be accountable for your actions. And so,
Absolutely.
Right.
I think mine is couth. People being I think just knowing how to act in different places and whatnot. Sometimes people will joke dang, these people, they have never even been anywhere, and sometimes they haven't been anywhere. But I think that's a value because, especially as Black people, and it's not about policing Black people's behavior. No, as the culture, when I think about Black people, I think about dignified people. I think about the people who reared me, and the individuals who were older that I saw growing up, and they knew that there was a time and a place for everything. And I think we've gotten so far away from nobody's gonna tell me what to do, nobody's gonna police me, that the couth is gone, the etiquette is non-existent, and it's just as someone who's a Renaissance man. Yeah, I was supposed to laugh, but no. I literally said at work this week, I was I'm a Renaissance man or whatnot. But no, seriously, as someone who just has been raised by people who believed and held that to such a strong regard, one of my values that's really important is couth and just knowing how to conduct yourself in different arenas.
Yeah, I think that little girl is going to be the most socially and self-aware little child. Because, it really tracks. How you said it tracks. Because Jasmine is a very, poised individual.
Thank you.
Very classy, kept together. You're not going to catch her, out of her element. I think that's cool. You kind of zoned in on what you were looking for. You found it. Yeah. Okay. You guys are awesome. I look up to you guys, actually.
Thank you, Devin.
What? Nah.
Yeah.
Little old us?
Right, no pressure.
Yeah. Right. Not at all. But yeah, we can talk about how much I love Zav and Jasmine another time.
Yes. What we talking about today? I'm excited.
Yeah. So we today are talking about what failed and why we're thankful that it did. Because, God is always doing something cool. Always. We see it in the Bible. We see it in our day-to-day lives. God's always doing something cool. And sometimes that coolness comes from things that we might have wanted that are now God directed us away from those things. But now maybe we know why God did that. I guess I'll go first. So I've mentioned a couple episodes ago that I'm starting a new job, and I applied to a multitude of jobs. multitude of jobs, like lots of applications with customized cover letters.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst. That is the worst.
Yeah, well, semi-customized. I have like one
Once
that
you have a
works
good
for most.
template, though,
Yeah,
ChatGPT. Did you use ChatGPT?
Not a single time.
Really?
Yeah, I'm old school
impressed.
like that. Yeah, you know.
Wow.
I mean, we've reached an age where people will use like other things. Anyway, I've kind of done it all. I did it all. Mm-hmm. And there are some places I interviewed at. Like I interviewed at a place that's 2 hours drive away. Interviewed at another place that was 3 hours and 15 minutes away.
Mercy.
Literally was because I mean that.
I'm like, Devin, what you would have did if you had got that job?
Yeah, just stay there the whole week.
Listen, 4 weeks maternity leave.
Oh.
Full benefits. Like it was at a hospital, and it was that would have been my into hospital pharmacy, like because if I wanted to get away from community, because it's easy to go from hospital to community, it's very hard to go the other way, right? Especially if you want something different or for life or whatever. But like we were just playing around with the idea. It was like, are we gonna do it? What's it gonna look like? Are we gonna do it? Are we gonna do it? And then we decided, even if they offer it, we're not gonna take it. Can't because look, we have our house, we have our community, like people that love us. It's like it's gonna make things so much complicated, if not impossible, leaving this. And I tell you, because we were waiting a couple weeks on hearing anything back, and we decided we're not gonna do it. That Monday, they sent me the rejection letter. You know, so that's just one thing that if I got it, I might have took it. And
Where was it located?
Killeen.
Oh wow!
Out near San Antonio.
Yeah.
Out of town.
Oh, Austin?
Like,
Out San Antonio?
literally
Austin?
out of town.
Yeah, literally, like all the way. Yeah. But why we have been able to work it out to be beneficial for us? Maybe, but it would come at a cost. It would come at a heavy cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think of relationships, especially because I'm the freshest one out the game.
Yep.
Yeah,
Entire jersey.
Yeah. Proudly.
Yes.
Proudly retired.
Damn, my eyes. I put my shades on that bling bling. I see you.
Thank you, Mr. Dozier.
Does your wrist hurt?
Sometimes, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think of relationships because, especially, I mean, it's not like, I hate saying it now because I'm like so young. I'm 31, turning 32 this year, but like time is like nothing now. Like I'm like, I could spend the next, God willing, like 60 years, 70 years with Taj, and like time, like it doesn't matter because my grandma's 96. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. But at the time, and I want to honor how I felt at the time,
Right.
but like being in my late 20s and still single, and I just was like every time I was in a talking stage or in like a relationship, like I just wanted it to work so bad because I'm like, I just want to be married and settled. I don't want to be dating and asking what your favorite color is. I don't care. But now, like being in marriage, like I say this to Taj all the time. Like I am so glad I waited. And for the marriage I have now, like I would have waited longer. It is so beautiful, and it's only beautiful because I waited for the person I'm married to. It would not have worked if I had like settled down and married any of the people I dated, thought I wanted to date, anything. Like Taj was the person that God had for me, and I'm so grateful that like my weariness did not make me settle because Lord, like, yeah, it wouldn't have been like what I have now.
Yeah.
That's good.
A status that I had on, I think it was like on my Google profile one time or something, Gmail, is that rejection, like being like ejection or the form of rejection is God's protection.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of situations I can think of, whether it's relationship, professional opportunities that did not work out. And, you know, hindsight is 2020. I saw God's protection in it, you know, and that my life could look so different if something that I wanted went my way. A testimony that I have is that I interviewed to be a flight attendant, and I interviewed to be a flight attendant. I actually, ironically, my interview was in Houston. Zav and I were not even.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were not even probably like we weren't even friends at the time. like we just weren't close yet, and flew to Houston, had my interview, all the things, and my friend who put me on, she was like, you are a shoo-in, like you have the language abilities, all the things. She was a flight attendant, so she gave me all the ins. And to this day, I tried to figure out, like, was it this one moment that happened on the plane? 'Cause you're actually not supposed to tell anyone that you're going, like, on your way. You're not supposed to tell them, like, oh, I'm flying for my interview with the airline, blah blah blah. You're not. And so they actually sat me next to someone who was a flight attendant, and so if you do, it will get back or what have you. So I always wondered, like, I didn't tell her, but I was like, I don't know from the conversation if she could tell. So I think of that, but it may not have anything to do with that. God was like, no, that's not for you, because sometimes Bob and I would talk about life. He's like, what if I became a flight attendant and you were at homecoming that time, and then we just kind of talk about those type of things. But I say that to say, because I didn't get the job. Because once you get the job, like, your life changes very quickly. You got to go to training, and all these things happen. I didn't have a car at the time, and I was going to Bible study more often on Wednesdays, midweek Bible studies. And this one particular Wednesday, I did not go after getting interviewing. And I was just really disappointed that day. Like, the bus that I was waiting for, the bus route had changed, because by this point I was relying on, like, friends were taking me a lot of places. And I got so down on myself. I'm like, this is why I don't depend on other people. I would have known the bus schedule changed. I was just so frustrated. Long story short, the next Wednesday I go to church, and my pastor calls me up and blesses me to sow a seed into me getting a car, and encourages the rest of the congregation to do the same thing, to come up and sow a seed. Yes, and
I would be boo-hooing on that stage.
I really was boo-hoo crying. I really was, because for so many reasons, just the fact that they wanted to love on me in that way. But when I thought about it, I was like, I could have not even been here today pursuing something else, and it just wasn't meant to be, because it wasn't just about the car. It was just so many things, everything else that fell in line after that. So I think about that, like, what if you did take that job? Like, just things would have looked very different. And I'm grateful that it didn't, because I'm like, oh man, I want to travel, and I want to do this and that, and I felt like I was qualified, but it wasn't about that. Like, God had something else He wanted to get into my hands. And again, it wasn't just about having a car, because that was ministry in itself. It opened up so many other things. So I say that to say, as an example of a testimony that I have, where I can pinpoint where it's like, man, rejection, but it's all a part of God's, like, design.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think mine is, so I have a master's in business with a concentration in entertainment. And so I graduated, and, in college, as you can remember, college is like a hub for all things like creative, and just like the energy is just, all of us are hungry because we have this unique goal of doing and being something in someone. And so I remember I graduated with my master's, I was fooling around for like a month. I ain't had no job. I ain't have no plan. Like, my mom literally came with my aunt and like a U-Haul truck, and I had like not packed anything. I was just young and dumb, and it was like December 1st. It was just like, I had like I had to be out, but I was just like, man, maybe I'm going to find something. Long story short, when I moved back home to Miami, I thought I would be in the entertainment industry, because it's like Miami, like reality TV and just all of that crazy stuff you see. And I wanted to be in that world. But the very first job that I got was working in education. And I've literally been working in like a facet of education since 2011, which is wild to me. And so I'm just so grateful to God, because like something that's important to me is mentorship. And so being in education, you are able to touch the lives of younger people. And so I'm thankful that the God closed the door of like me being in the entertainment industry, because maybe I would have been successful. But you just never know, they call it Hollyweird, and it's just a lot of compromises that individuals, that's not like hearsay. It's like, no, people will tell you in the industry, there's like a lot of compromise. You're going to see some things that you probably wouldn't see if you were a janitor or a teacher, so to speak, or whatnot. And so I always say God wanted to save me, so He didn't let me go down that route. But I'm super grateful that door closed, because I've been able to just work for amazing companies and work in education and meet thousands upon thousands. And, I'm a public speaker now. So me working my first job kickstarted my public speaking business.
Right.
I literally say, when I'm pitching myself, I'm like, I've spoken to over 50,000 students, right? And that's the God's honest truth, because it's so funny. I used to do like my little work presentation. And then after that, I'm like, yo, does anybody in here know their purpose? And we'll just go on this this talk to dive a little bit deeper for only the last 5 or 10 minutes of class. And so I'm thankful God closed that door of me being in the entertainment industry, doing whatever, and brought me into education, and it was able to kickstart my dreams and goals of being a public speaker.
Not to really pivot, but like sometimes I'm really thankful for how God has worked it out that say Satan would have failed in certain plans, right? So like there are certain things we would have pursued and that just kind of fell through, right? But what about like how like certain attacks on the enemy, how they failed, right? And I'll speak of one, and it's kind of like a long story made way shorter. Like Martha and I, we've been together through a lot, right? We're pretty different people. I think I always say that if the time was different, we might not have made it, right? But like, I remember there was one particular situation we had where it was like really like heavy for us. And honestly, we might have broken up over that. And it was when I was in California, she was in New York at that time. And like, I don't know, we were just talking. We kind of reached kind of like the concluding part of it where we kind of were just like, hey, we're just going to keep trying, right? And I was out at Walmart buying a grater. Like a,
cheese grater.
Right? And I picked it up and it slipped and actually still have a scar on my left ring finger where the grater nicked my finger, right? It's right there. You can see it. And that was a sign to me that, God wanted me here with Martha, right? So whatever the devil was trying to do to shake us apart, right, didn't work. Right? And turns out I didn't even need the grater. I actually had a grater. I just thought I didn't have it. It was hidden under something. It's crazy. So crazy how that works, right? Satan will try to like initiate these attacks on what God has for you, right? And even and honestly, I should have known God was gonna do something like this, because like when we were in the beginning, before we even started like fully dating, like in 2012, I kind of like did a test to see if it was just me or if she was in this too, right? We were kind of warming up to then starting to date in 2012. And I kind of prayed and said, God, if she doesn't text me first on this day by this specific time.
Dang.
That's crazy.
Because I always felt like I was putting so much effort forward and, staying in touch and talking with her. I felt like, so I was like, if she doesn't text me first by the end of 5th period, so 12:31, then I know that it's a wrap and I'm just going to move on with my life. But if she does, then I know there's something here. Girl who never texted me first in her whole life to that point texted me at 12:18.
What?
12:18. And here we are. I got a scar on my finger,
Right.
and a ring on my finger.
Yeah.
And a baby in her belly.
Yeah, so God definitely blocked some of Satan's plans, if I may share that little.
Ty Tribbett,
Yeah.
what did Ty Tribbett say? The devil thought he
had
had me.
me.
Thought that my life was over. He thought that I would give up. He thought that I no more. But that's when something greater came in my situation. I'm wanting and I begun. He turned it.
Yeah, a little praise session. Yeah. So how has Satan failed in shaking things up in your lives?
Ooh, in so many ways. The first thing I thought of was my mental health. Because, Lord, I had some suicidal ideations at one point, man. I'm telling you. But, yeah, God kept me. It truly, truly is a miracle that I'm here. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of. Because I truly, like, especially now that I feel like I've overcome, like, that depth of, like, my depressive episodes, I literally imagine it like it's like
an out of body experience.
Yes, but also even like what is the word? Like demonic spirits like just around you.
Spiritual warfare.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally. And just like telling you like all these like awful things about yourself and all these things. And like that's literally the way I visualize it now. And it's just so crazy to me that so many people struggle with it, people you wouldn't even think. But yeah, I'm so grateful to God, because it truly is like a miracle that he kept me. He always sent people around me to, even when like I had made like a decision to not be here. Like I got a call, I got a text, like I'm thinking of you, I'm praying for you. I'm fasting over you every time at the right time. And I'm here. So God truly, it's a miracle.
And you know what's crazy? Like in those moments where you're just about to run out of gas, something comes, like right at the right time, like the right conversation or the right, Jesus.
Yeah. There's actually been more than one job that I've either been offered or was a part of and was either removed from the job.
You got fired, Jazzy?
Never.
That was what happened in the natural. But it was that. Sometimes it has to look like that. But that doesn't mean, again,
you gotta preach a word.
Doesn't mean I wasn't qualified. Doesn't mean I wasn't. Sometimes there was a job that I was doing my job. They had poor business practices, and they let me go. And actually, that's happened with two businesses. They don't exist anymore. So, but I didn't have to be a part of the fallout. Because it didn't look good at all. Another job that it looks so glamorous. Like I'm in my mid-20s, be an au pair, travel, all expenses paid. I'm gonna be going here and there and taken care of, and then eventually be a part of a school that's gonna be built. The integrity, the character of the person that was trying to bring me in, like God was like, no, like stay. And the way that some things went down, I got really upset because I felt like I was taken advantage of and put in a very compromising situation that made me more so feel like why I didn't present myself as someone who would want to be a part of this type, like why would you, but I realized later that I had no business like being a part of that, and it almost, me experiencing what I experienced to get upset was God's way of being like, get away from that, So again, more than once, but being, maturing more in the spirit, understanding that a lot of times when things go down in the natural, when you really see what it was really about, you're like, wow, God, like, thank you. Like, thank you. Yep. Because the enemy was trying to, you failed.
Amen.
Fall flat in your face, sir.
And something to even work the work conversation, I'm very encouraged. I heard a speaker say one time, like, the jobs that you work at, literally the job is still standing because God needs you to have a paycheck.
Wow.
Like, God needs for you to be good. And I'm just like, when you think about God like that, it's just like, how could you not serve a God like that? But I mean, I can go as the recent as December, we're talking about like the enemy trying to put his plans, and like my appendix ruptured, right? And it's just like a pain that I had like never experienced before. And, it's just very sobering because like, I could have like not been here. Like when I think about it, I'm just like, wait, I have a 9-month-old child and a wife and a family and village that loves me or whatnot. And it kind of like invigorated me to like, when I like thought about it, I'm like, the enemy really tried it. The enemy really, wants to, and he can't stop anything, right? Unless God gives him permission to do so. But the enemy really was just like, okay, we're going to take him out or whatnot. And I'm just like, knowing that, I have to, like, 2025 honestly cannot be like 2024, like 2023, it can't be like any other year because God saved me, because God delivered me, because God protected me, because God had the right surgeons and doctors and CAT scan and friends, and just, I was in the right place. That story is like a God ordained story. I was where I was supposed to be when that event happened. And so, the enemy tried to throw a little curveball in like, my life and my family's life, but God will reign. God always and is reigning supreme, and he reigns supreme when the enemy tried to take me out. And that was just this December. So
yeah, man, I've been memorizing Psalm 37, and I forget which verse this is, but this one is, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholds him with his right hand, with his hand, right? So like, God is always going to catch us. you know, and the fact that God caught you with the appendix thing and God rescued you from different positions and God protected you, like literally day to day, protected me, like, you know, we just gotta be thankful for the things
Amen.
that God blocked and the things that Satan was not able to succeed on. So we're thankful to God. We're thankful for you guys. Be thankful in everything that God does, and just know that even if you might not see it, God is blocking something. He's altering. He's shielding us
Yep.
Yeah.
every day.
Sometimes he prevents to preserve.
Oh, there it
Amen.
is. There it is. But thank you for joining us. As always, heal responsibly. See you next time.
Peace, peace.